What's going on, everybody? This is Marshal Briggs, and I am the host once again of CWF Mic'd Up. I want to thank you so much for joining us yet again here live on Facebook.com/official CWF. What we're going to start doing in the future is you're going to see us posting these episodes up on our YouTube page, and we're going to do that in order to obviously get some traffic going there, get some more visibility out there, and give you another outlet to view CWF content. So we're going to be joined here tonight by Clad Christian Garrett. He's one of our newest members of the CWF roster, an amazing talent, definitely is going to be going places. We'll talk about his record and what his plans are and all that here in just a minute. Once again, I am Marshal Briggs. Let's get my name up on the screen. There we go there. We got some new software over here we're using. Hopefully it works out well and looks good for you on that end. So, first things first, a lot of you have been asking questions about when the CWF is going to make its return. Of course, with the coronavirus and everything else going on, unfortunately, that is completely out of my control. It's out of our wrestlers' control. It's out of our entire staff's control. We are at the mercy of the federal government, the state government, and our local government here in San Jose County, Florida. So with that being said, I don't have a set date on when we're going to make our return. However, as soon as I do, you'll hear that first either from me directly on the Marshal Briggs page, the CWF page, or somewhere on our social media accounts. So definitely stay tuned and keep an eye out for that information. That brings me to something you may have seen on our Facebook page, Resurrection, which was originally planned for May 16th. Unfortunately, yet again, we had to push that event back. Resurrection 2 actually is what it's going to be, because this will be our anniversary show from the first CWF event in its current iteration, which took place last year at the Navarre Conference Center. I still have huge plans for Resurrection. We're going to have an amazing card, and I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, the wait will be very well worth it. The other thing that you saw on our Facebook page was a little blurb about the Spring Scramble. I'm going to go ahead and bring this up here in just a second. The Spring Scramble is going to be an event like you've never seen before. What we're going to do is we're going to give an opportunity to any wrestler on the independent scene, whether they've worked for CWF, whether they haven't worked, or whatever. This is their opportunity to get a shot at the CWF title. So how's this going to work? Well, let's pull up this bracket here. As you can see on the bracket there, it's going to be a 16-man tournament. Now, of course, we can't have events. We can't have our ring set up, so it's not going to be a wrestling tournament. This is what we're going to do. We're going to put wrestlers head-to-head in a promo competition. And in that promo competition, it's not going to be myself that decides who the best talker is. It's not going to be any of the other wrestlers. We're going to put the power in your hands. So for the Spring Scramble, which will start in just a couple of weeks, probably about a week and a half, you're going to be able to see and vote yourselves on who you want to see win this tournament. So what do they get if they win the tournament, right? This is what they get. The winner of the Spring Scramble promo tournament will be entered into a match for the CWF Championship against Slingshot Shaddix at a future CWF event. What happens to the runner-up? Well, the two runner-ups from each side of the bracket are going to be entered into another tournament for a new championship that we will be debuting here in the very near future. So the stakes are high. The risk is definitely worth the reward, and it's going to be a product that puts the power in your hands, because the CWF wants to give back to its loyal fans that have done so much for us over the past year. So take a look at that bracket, and if you have anyone that you would like to see compete in this tournament, tag them in this post, have them contact the CWF, whatever. We are going to be taking submissions up until next Friday. That is next Friday, which is going to be, let me see here, May 15th. So anyone that wants to enter this competition, as long as you are a wrestler, an active wrestler in the indie scene, contact the CWF on our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter, whatever, and get yourself entered for this promo. Again, if your favorite wrestlers ever worked for us, or if you want them to, now's their chance to get their foot in the door and work for the CWF. So we're going to go ahead and pull it off the screen. And we're going to go ahead and continue on with our show here. So, like I said earlier, we're going to be joined here by one of the newest CWF stars in this, obviously in the CWF. Uh, we're going to get Ironclad Christian Garrett. Christian, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir. I can hear you. How's it going?
Not too bad. How you doing yourself?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Just holding up.
Where are you coming from? Are you up in Rome, Georgia tonight?
I'm up in Rome, Georgia tonight. How are y'all down in y'all's area?
Not bad. Really hot. We got some wildfires going on. No rain. It's supposed to rain tonight, but I don't think it's going to happen. But they just opened the beaches, so obviously all the tourists are coming in town and clogging up the roads. Unfortunately, they're not able to come in town and see some wrestling, but hopefully we'll take care of that in near future. So let's start this interview off the right way, man.
All right.
How are you coping with not being able to wrestle right now?
Oh man, it's been kind of crazy, but it's also not been that bad because uh as you know, and as you let the rest of the CWF fan base know, a little while back, me and my fiance actually found out that we are having a baby. So, really, I've just taken this time to kind of prepare things for that. So, it's not been too crazy. Um, just trying to adjust to life with a kid on the way. So,
Yeah. So when is the baby due?
November 23rd is when the baby is
Okay.
due. So it's the day before
Ooh,
Thanksgiving.
ooh.
So
That baby's gonna
yeah.
think all that cooking's for that baby.
Let me tell you, it is definitely already thinking that because I believe I've spent more money on food the last 2 months than I ever have in my entire life. So
Well, it's only gonna get better from here, brother. I promise you.
yeah,
You know, because think about it. So you had the baby's birthday the day before Thanksgiving, then you roll
yes,
right into Black Friday the day after Thanksgiving.
yeah.
So it's
So
going to be, and then it's Cyber Monday the Monday after. So it's going to be pretty crazy for you. So
yeah.
might be too early to ask, but I'm going to just throw it out there anyway. Are we on Team Boy or Team Girl? What are you rooting for?
um, you know, Team Boy is what I was really rooting for, but uh, the more closer we get to when we're figuring it out, I'm thinking it's going to be more of a girl than it is a boy. Just
Hmm.
from mom's the way she behaves and the way that the baby is growing and the heart rate and stuff that I've from experts in the field, I have um, learned that a high heart rate usually leads to having a girl. So, and the last two times that we've been to have sonograms, it's been between like 159 and the 160s. So,
Hmm.
and that's the really high heart rate for a baby. And they say usually that range of a heart rate usually leads to it being a girl. So we're
That's
thinking it's
cool.
going to be more of a girl. So
So you're going to be going to the
um,
gun store here soon.
yeah,
Gun store, gym membership, all that stuff's going to be coming here pretty quick.
yep.
Also, so mom and baby are doing good.
Yes, they are healthy. Last two checkups we've been to, everything has checked out, and we're healthy and going into this thing strong. So
Awesome,
very
man.
happy father.
Yeah, congratulations again. And of course, the CWF family will be here to welcome that baby with open arms as well. So, I want to kind of segue a little bit
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
to mom because I've noticed as the owner, and I'm sure the boys in the locker room noticed that she comes to all of your events with you. And
yes.
sometimes that's rare to see in our business to have a spouse or a girlfriend or
Hmm.
significant other support you that much. So talk to us a little bit about that. Has she always been this supportive of you chasing your dreams?
Yes, it's been a super cool experience. Because I mean, since day one, she was actually a wrestling fan, and that's how I come to meet her. Was
Hmm.
actually at a show, and so I mean, uh, since the first day we've been together, she's been all for it. She's been like, no matter how far you go, I'll be right there with you. So and she hasn't missed a show since. So I mean, it's been really
That's cool.
cool. Yeah,
That's so. Does she has she ever like expressed any interest in getting into the business to you at all, or she's perfectly fine being on the other side of the barrier?
she's. I think she's perfectly content with being on the other side of the barrier. I think at one point in time she wanted to, but she's also really young and kind of wants to venture into some other things, I believe. So, um, so it's kind of with me, it's like you support me, so I'm going to support you. You're
Right.
with me at every wrestling event, so I'm going to be with you wherever you go. So, um,
So, what's the furthest y'all have traveled for an event?
uh, let me think. Let me think. I want to say to Florida. This has been the furthest. Either there or so she actually lives in Alabama. So um, uh, I did a show in Augusta, Georgia. So I mean, it's clear across one state and plus
Yeah.
some. So that would those two would probably be the two furthest trips that we've been on. But before all before the whole coronavirus thing, we actually had trips set to go to Michigan, Wisconsin, and North Carolina that she was going
Hmm.
to be joining me on. So um, obviously those trips didn't get to pan out, but they will in the future. So
Well,
um,
that's what I was going to ask. Are they just postponed,
yeah,
or are they canceled, or?
yeah, they're postponed. So as far as I know, North Carolina is still going to happen in June.
Hmm.
Um, as of the way everything is going right now. So Ring Wars Carolina is where that will be happening out in Lumberton, North Carolina. So and that'll probably be about I want to say probably about a 12-hour trip. So
Oh my
it's
gosh.
yeah, yeah. So um, you hear about a lot of people flying and taking different variations of trips to get to there. I actually drive to most of mine, so because I like seeing the countryside and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So um,
Yeah. Man, I've definitely had time on the road. I mean, my parents live down here in Florida now, but up until about 3 years ago, they lived up in Indiana, still where I'm from.
yeah.
So I drive home twice a year to see them, and that's a 14-hour drive one way.
Oh
So,
man.
and it seemed like the older I got, that trip went longer and longer. It just seemed like to
Yes.
drag on.
Yes.
So, cool. So, tell me a little bit about your career, man. I mean, we haven't really had a chance to sit down and talk very much, of course, because when we're at the shows, I'm running with my head cut off, and you're getting ready to get ready for your match. So,
Yeah.
how did you get your start, and where did you start?
So I actually got my start and it's in a little place called Eastridge. It's just east of Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was training with a company called Ultimate Extreme Wrestling. So they had run that area um, just across the line in Rossville, Georgia. So do you know where Chattanooga is as far as like
Yeah.
distance from Georgia and Tennessee? So Chattanooga's right on the Georgia and Tennessee line. So there's a place just across the line called Rossville, Georgia. It's, Rossville and Fordo, they're kind of like neck and neck with each other. And so they run in Rossville, Fordo area for the first term of their life, which was back in the late 90s to early 2000s. So they shut down for a little while. And then somebody, a wrestler who used to wrestle on that show, kind of bought out the company and reopened it. Um, so about a year later, after they reopened, I started my training. And unfortunately, due to some personal issues and some other issues with the area, they had to close their doors. So, um, but I did get a good 6 to 8 months of matches in before they closed their doors. Um, but
And
I
were
really go ahead.
were they running weekly or monthly or what?
They was running weekly. They was running every Saturday throughout the month. So at that point in time, I was working one time a week. I was working every
Mm-hmm.
Saturday just to start to cut my teeth and stuff. And then I would say about 2 months in was my first traveling booking, and
Mm-hmm.
I went up to Knoxville, Tennessee, and I think the promotion was called TXW. So they run in a little gymnasium just on the north part of Knoxville. So that was my first. That was my first official traveling booking outside of my home, or what we would call our home promotion, where we got our start. So, and I have been on the road ever since. I mean, I would come back and work my home promotion when I wasn't booked somewhere else.
Mhm.
But I really started after the first 2 months. I really just started hitting the road and getting out in different places, and started doing Friday bookings here and there. And so uh,
So
I was
talk to me about how those Friday bookings work for you, because we've never actually ran on a Friday. To
yes,
me, it would seem a little bit awkward because you're hoping that the fans are able to get there in time after work or whatever. So how do those work out? They
yes.
usually pretty smooth or what?
Um, yeah, the promotions that I work most of the time, um, for the most part, yes, they did go very smoothly. Now there was one promotion that I worked, and I worked for a year. The guy who run it, he trained at the Power Factory when
Hmm.
WCW was around, and he was a worker jobber for WCW when they was around before they was shut down, and so he year promotion that went through a couple of name changes and stuff, and uh, it was kind of on its last limb just because of the area they was in, um,
Hmm.
and so it only drew, I would say, probably about 5 to 10 fans, and for me that was kind of hard to work with, but it I learned a valuable lesson with that even going out and working in front of 5 to 10 fans, you still have to be your persona, you still have to be your character, and
Hmm.
put on everything you've got. Whether you're in front of 5 or 5,000, you put everything you've got into it. So
Yeah.
that taught me a very valuable lesson. But as far as the fans coming out to that one, that was probably the only show on Friday nights that didn't go as smoothly as I thought it could have, and I think a
Hmm.
lot of it was just because of the area they was in, and lack of promotion. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of things, especially wrestling, promotion does us a great deal of business. That's where we get a lot of our business from, and they was just they was putting on shows, but they wasn't advertising them weekly. So
Hmm.
I guess I don't know. I guess he thought that the same fans would keep coming out week after week, and but even if you're running a weekly show, I mean, I still feel like you need to advertise because they don't know when new people are coming in. They don't know when
Right.
you're going to have a special attraction or something like that come in. So eventually, I feel like people get bored if they're seeing the same stuff over and over again. And I think we've talked
Hmm.
about that kind of before. Um,
Yep.
about your area and kind of the same thing happening there. So um,
Yeah. It's unfortunately that's something that happens a lot. Promotion, not promoting your promotion. I mean, it's called a promotion. So
right,
you got to do what it is.
yeah.
Speaking of that, I just took a look at our chat here, our comments. Robert, I see your question here where you asked us when we're coming back to Milton. I kind of touched this a little earlier, but I'm not really sure at the moment. We're kind of at the mercy of um, this virus and the response to that. So as soon as we're able to return to Milton, uh, this will be the first place that you'll find that. So, and I'm just going to pass this on to you, Christian. The champion Slingshot Shattuck says you're useless and you're not getting his lady Shaddocks. So, what would your response be to that?
um, I just don't. I don't let that kind of stuff tear me down. I just let it go in one ear and out the other. So, he is our champion. So just know, Slingshot, that just like any other competitor in the CWF, that I'm gonna do my best to come for that title. So uh, uh, I don't care about Lady Shaddix because I've got a Lady CG here by my side that supports me through everything. So
Oh, shots fired. Awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit about the CWF. Currently, you're 1-1 in the CWF. I did the research before before our little show here. So you're 1-1.
yes,
Your first showing, unfortunately, you lost to Reggie Gates, who, by the way, is a tremendous competitor. And then
yes.
at our last event, you teamed with Van Christopher against
Mm-hmm.
Prophecy. So talk to us a little bit about your first experience in the CWF, and
Mm-hmm.
feel free not to hold back. You're not going to hurt my feelings. And
Oh
then
no.
talk to us about your encounter with Prophecy at Mayhem a couple of months ago.
Okay. Um, yeah, I mean my first initial sight on walking in the door with CWF. Um, I looked around, looked at the production, looked at the workers that was walking around. Obviously, I didn't know a lot of them at the time, but as I'm sitting in the back before mine and Reggie's match, and I'm sitting here watching the product as it unfolds, I'm like, man, like this promotion is awesome. Like it's run um, like a good promotion should be run. The storylines, the characters, everything is panning out. They're doing what they're supposed to be. They're working hard, um, and that for me as a young competitor makes me think, okay, well, I'm in the right place. I'm around a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of people who know um, at least somewhat of what they're doing. Because we're out here putting up a good product in front of a packed house. Um, and then I go out and I face Reggie, which is prior to me meeting him in CWF, I didn't know Reggie. I actually had to do research on Reggie before that match to figure out who he was and where he come from. So,
Yeah.
um, um, which any good competitor should do. I feel like if you're in a match with somebody that you've never heard of,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's not a bad thing, but you need to go and do your research and at least know who you're competing against. Um, but I automatically saw where Reggie was having these stellar matches and working his butt off, which is a lot of what I was doing. I mean, I was at the point that I come to CWF. I was working 2 and 3 nights a week.
Mm-hmm.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights, and traveling a lot of miles up and down the road. So, and I saw that Reggie was doing the same thing. So, I knew I was going to have a good competitor when I stepped in that ring, and the match delivered. We set forth and uh, done what we were supposed to do, and we put on a good match and a good competitive match. I would say. Um, the crowd was into it. Uh, I don't. I think we left a good impression on the crowd. I don't know if it
Mm-hmm.
was Reggie's first night there, but I know it was mine. Um, I really feel like just going back and looking at pictures and stuff. I still go back and look at those pictures. Uh, did you lose me on camera?
I did.
Okay, my phone cut off on me. All right,
Oh,
I
there you are.
should
You're back.
be back. Okay, yeah. Yeah, my phone just cut off on me for some reason. But anyways, so yeah, I feel like we went out and delivered, and we put on a good, solid match. And I would really like to face Reggie again because I feel like uh, we left a lot off, and I feel like that could be a good match later on. A rivalry that seems to be unfinished. I would say.
So you say there's still some unfinished business there. There's still some
Yeah,
more.
yeah, yeah. Because I don't know if you remember or not, but if I can recall, I believe he low blowed me
Yep.
while his manager distracted the ref. So I feel like I was cut short in that match.
Hmm.
Um, so I really want the CWF to see that I am a strong competitor, and I can rise above that and those things that happen, and I can beat him one on one without something like that happening to me. So,
Yeah, well, I
I,
mean, it seems like you kind of got your hands full because you do have that unfinished business with Reggie, but then on the other side, you and Van have unfinished business with Prophecy. Um,
yeah, yeah.
talk to us about Prophecy. I haven't had them on the show, and that's by design. But maybe at some point I'll allow them to come on. But what are your thoughts on Prophecy and what happened at Mayhem?
Um, it's it's kind of crappy how it all happened because of the way they handled things. We was right at the end of the match. We was about to. I firmly believe we was about to secure that win. Me and Van was, and then they ran like chickens. The I believe it was Mike pulled. Was Mike or the other tag partner that pulled them out. Anyways, one of the prophecy members pulled the other one out of the ring when I was going for the pin, and I don't care. I don't care about them enough to remember their names, but um, but they pulled the other one out, and then they sit there and they acted like they was gonna get back in the ring, and then they run like chickens. They run like cowards. So how am I supposed to? How are you going to be the top team in CWF, but then you run like cowards instead of
Yeah.
fighting back? Um, I just don't understand.
I mean, I've been going back and forth with Prophecy for the better part of a year now, and it's just I, somewhere I'll say this somewhere down the line, um, Prophecy will get what's coming to them. I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, I mean it's inevitable. It's going to
Yes,
happen.
yes,
So
yes.
it is what it is, man. So um, let's transition real quick, and I'm just curious. We know you're Ironclad Christian Garrett. What are some of the main influences in your character and your goals in wrestling?
Um, that's a good question. Anybody that's seen me work, um, they know that I'm not built like other wrestlers are. I'm not uh, 6'4" and jacked to the bone. Uh,
Hmm.
but where the ironclad comes from is my lifestyle is I live by a never give up and never uh, a never say never attitude. I guess you could say. Like I'm very strong willed, and when I'm in a match, you'll kind of see that I just keep fighting. Like no matter what happens to me, um, I never die out there per se. I'm trying to think of wrestlers who have come before me that clear example like say John Cena and Batista. You remember the match between them where he took the power bomb and separated his shoulder, but he finished the match.
Right.
Um, that's kind of how I am in the ring. I actually kind of had something similar happen. Um, I was in a match. I want to say probably about a year and a half ago, um, and I had taken a cannonball in the corner and from a guy, and he hit me directly in the shoulder. And my shoulder, they classified it as a contusion, but I've had shoulder surgery on that shoulder before from a
Hmm.
previous sport that I played before wrestling, before I got into wrestling. And so I was out for about 2 months with a shoulder injury, but that match, I ended up still fighting and with one arm and finished that match. So
Wow.
I'm not in no way saying that I'm like John Cena or anything, but that's just a kind of an example of how I am in the ring. Like I don't, I don't give up. I don't, no matter what's thrown at me, I just keep going and keep going. And sometimes I think, I sit back and think like, man, like that's going to catch up to me one day, but heck, I'm having fun while I'm doing it. So,
Yeah, I mean
uh,
that's the key is have fun
yeah,
with what you're doing, and
yeah,
as long as you're good at it, which you are,
yeah,
you'll definitely have some fruit of the labor, whatever they want to call it.
yeah,
So yeah, 'cause I was going to ask about that your prior injuries. 'Cause I do see you have the tape on your shoulder when you work. Is that
yes.
so? Does it still bother you at times? And do you ever have opponents target that body part?
Uh, yes, unfortunately, all the time. Unfortunately, it's like, uh, you see Cesaro and people wear it. Cesaro and I want to say Kenta Ibushi and a couple of others wear that same tape on their shoulders and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, it's really just a support mechanism for the shoulder um, to help kind of hold up throughout a match. But yes, I had a repair on my labrum in my left shoulder back in, I want to say it was 2016 because I played high school football prior to uh, being a wrestler,
Okay.
and that's where that was caused. So it was not a wrestling injury; it was a prior sport injury. Um, but yes, it does. I constantly have to train and keep that shoulder mobilized, and well, I wouldn't say mobilized, but I have to continuously train, especially my shoulders and neck,
Yeah.
because that was the most targeted area um, from that injury, and it's unfortunately it is a big target while I'm in the ring. So
Yeah.
um,
Well, I mean, you're still able to go, so I mean, you're blessed in
yeah,
that
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
Well,
Um,
it's not about the injuries that you have. It's finding ways around around those injuries. So
mhm,
if you notice, I do a lot of stuff with my right arm. I do heavily protect my left arm, but I use it when I have to.
mhm.
Um, but a lot of my stuff is done um, within kicks or strikes with my right arm. And then that left shoulder comes into play with various power moves and stuff that I do. So it
And
is very.
are you left or right-handed?
I'm right-handed. I used to
Okay.
be yeah. Well, see, the funny thing is, I used to be ambidextrous. I
Hmm.
used to be able to use both sides. But after that shoulder injury, and I've actually had an elbow surgery on that side too. So on that left arm. So after those two things, that has affected the way that I use my arms and hands, the way that I use that side of my body um, within the last 10 years or so
Yeah.
um, from those injuries. Because I actually had nerve damage with the elbow surgery. I had nerve damage for about 2 years after that.
Wow.
It's not there now, yeah, but I had to go through some pretty extensive uh, training and stuff, and just going through constant movement and stuff, trying to bring that motion and feeling back into place so that I could be able to use that arm and hand again.
Now, what was that? You said that was from wrestling or from football?
No, so the shoulder was from football.
Okay.
The elbow was from a childhood accident. Um, it's a funny
Okay.
story. I you know when
I was gonna
I
ask.
was
I was like,
yeah.
were you riding a big red three wheel or something or what?
So no, so I was born in '98, so I'm still pretty young.
You
Um,
make me feel old. Hold on. You make me feel
yeah,
old, man. Let's see. 98.
yeah.
Where was Marshall in 98? I think I was
So
in sixth grade.
yeah, so I was probably about 12 years old when this happened, and I was actually at a 4th of July celebration. So the cool thing to do back then at recess and stuff was to jump out of swings. You know, you get them going up really high, and then you jump out of them,
Mhm.
like, see if you can land on your feet or whatever. Why that was popular, I don't know.
Oh,
Why
hey,
I
we, we
was,
we did the same thing. I know what you're talking about.
yeah,
Yeah.
why why I was stupid enough to do it and try to show off while I was doing it. Um,
hmm
I don't know, but we was at a 4th of July gathering uh, that my city put on, and we was at like a local park, and so I get going up really high and stuff. Essentially, what happened is I jump out, I over rotate, and then come down and land face first, and with my arm up under me, and so I broke my elbow in two places, or broke my arm in two places right at the elbow joint, and so they ended up having to repair that bone. Yeah, so
So
it was
that was
pretty
your first
nasty.
bump. That was your first bump.
Yeah, one of my first. I was really rough on myself when I was a kid. So
So let's see. You said you were 12. So that was 2010.
yeah, I believe
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
So let's see. Let's see. Let's age myself here. 2010. I had been in the Air Force for 6 years. I
Yeah.
was
So
coming up on the end of my first enlistment. I re-enlisted that year, and I was 2 deployments in. So you make me feel old, man. But the gray started. I was 19, but you're making some more grow with
yeah.
how young you are. But I'll tell you what, man. Like, as young as you are, you still got a ton of road ahead of you as far as wrestling. So,
Oh
um,
yes.
what are your goals? Do you have the ultimate goal that everyone has as far as wanting to go to AEW, WWE, Impact, whatever, or are you wanting to dominate the Indies? What are your goals?
Um, I mean, the ultimate goal is, just like most other people, is, I want to be in a major company before the end of my career, whether that be WWE, AEW, Impact, whatever is around at that time, whenever that may
hmm
be. That's where I want to finish my career. Is hopefully in a major company. So that's what I'm working towards. But there's a lot of major independent companies that I would like to work for too, such as like PWG, AEW, and I believe they run around Chicago. Evolve.
Right.
I would like to work over in Japan with Noah and IWGP. And UK promotions, Germany, WXW, I think is what they call theirs.
hmm
So, I mean, there's some major independent companies that I would like to work for on the way up. Um, but the ultimate goal would be, to finish my career in a major company. Um, a lot of people want to finish it as a wrestler. For me, I don't. Do you know Aja Pereira?
I don't.
Okay. Well, she was a wrestler from Atlanta. Well, is a wrestler from Atlanta. Um, Basically, she done tours. She's a female worker and did tours all over the U.S. Did tours in Japan. She come back. Well, she was actually signed to WWE as the first female African American referee. So
Oh, okay.
that's now her job. So you know, in her situation, my situation is kind of the same. I mean, I don't have to make it big as a wrestler. That's what I want to do. But if there's another job that comes available, I just want to finish my career um, doing wrestling, being a part of this business in some way with a major company. Um,
That's cool.
eh,
Do you
yeah,
have any aspirations to have your own promotion at some point, or
eventually, yeah, I would definitely like to one day. Yes, but right now I'm more focused on my wrestling career versus trying to open up a indie promotion right now and compete with other people. It's enough to have to compete um, as a wrestler and earn your spot on certain shows.
Yep.
Um, and then when you bring in trying to run your own show, too, I feel like that would just be a workload that I'm not ready for yet. So,
Yeah,
um,
it's a lot.
but
Uh,
yeah, but but definitely further down the line, my aspirations are to run my own show, or at least help somebody else run their own.
okay.
Maybe team up with somebody in the future to help run a show. I feel
So
like I've got
take
a bunch of ideas there that are brewing that will just take time.
yeah. Well, hey man, you gotta grab that notebook and just start writing everything down. That way you never forget
Oh,
it.
yes, and I certainly have been doing that here lately. You know, with a lot of time, um, with a lot of time away from the ring, I've been able to focus more on those things like character development and stuff like that. Um, to try and create different characters that I may play a role of in the future, or because we all know, like when some indie wrestlers go to bigger companies, like you're asked to maybe do a slightly different character, a completely different character altogether, um, in that company versus on the indies. So I just try to keep my mind open and try to say like, okay, if I was stuck in this situation. Um, with a new character and I had
Hmm.
to I had to make that persona come to life, then um, how would I fare doing that?
Yeah.
Say if I was hired by a big company today and they said, oh well, you're going to work under this name and you're going to portray this character um, on live TV. I just want to make sure that I'm ready for that when that comes.
Yeah, and that's something you know, I honestly think people should start doing that more on the indies. Be
Hmm.
open to working another character if a promoter has an idea for you,
Yeah.
um, and it obviously doesn't bury you. Be open
Right. Right.
to working more characters because you never know that idea that promoter might have might be your ticket to the next step.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you never know. Well, cool, man. So we're gonna probably start to wrap up here in a minute, but I did want to ask you the same questions I ask everybody.
Okay.
Um, we're going to do the word association this week. I think last week we did the Mount Rushmore. I think Donnie did with man.
Okay.
Uh, word association. Just answer one or two words, whatever comes. We'll limit it to 5 words. Up to 5 words. Whatever comes to mind for the word that I throw out there. And I've got a list here.
Okay.
Steve Austin.
Um, Probably one of the best characters to this day to live. That's more than 5 words, but yeah,
He's a
uh,
national treasure, and what does he say? A global icon, a national treasure
yeah,
on his podcast.
yeah.
Okay,
Um,
so, all right. Let's see. What do we have next? Jack Daniels or Jim Beam?
Jack Daniels,
Smith or Wesson?
uh, Smith and Wesson,
There you go. All right. Let's see. Tag team or singles?
singles.
Blood
Um,
or no blood?
I prefer no blood.
Of course. Yeah. Let's see. What else do I have? Technical or brawler?
Definitely technical.
All right. Submission. Okay. Submission match or last man standing match?
Last man standing.
Hell in a cell or steel cage?
Um, I, okay, well, I've been in the cage, so probably Hell in a Cell.
Oh wow,
Just because I
you're
want
just
to
gonna
experience. I just want to experience that, man. I mean, they say
you're
there's
just
nothing
gonna go
else
there.
like it. Yeah.
Well, Mick Foley probably agrees with that. So, last couple of questions here. Who was your favorite wrestler growing up?
um, it's funny because I portray the character and the style of wrestling that I portray doesn't go anything with this, but Jeff Hardy, he was the one who really stuck out to me as a kid and made me want to do this.
Okay, Cool. Who was your least favorite?
Least favorite? I don't know. I mean, I was just really so amazed with the business. I didn't really have a least favorite. I mean,
I'd
so
have to say I think my least favorite, who I really hated, was X-Pac.
yeah,
I don't know.
I,
I don't know what it was about him, but
yeah.
I don't know. So tell us your merch. You have any merch available for people to buy if they want to buy merch?
I do. I do. I can post a link. I guess this is on Facebook, right?
Yes, this is going to
Through a
be on
live chat.
Facebook.
And if people go back and look in this, I will actually post a link to my storefront here. I have t-shirts, hoodies, stuff like that up on storefront here right now, and I'm working on ordering some shirts to have at the next CWF show as well. So whenever the fans will be allowed back in, and we run a show that
Right.
has fans at it, there will be Christian Garrett merch there. So, but yeah, y'all go on
Awesome.
over to Storefront here and look at that.
And we'll also post that link on our CWF page on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and not YouTube, but Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We'll have
Okay.
those posts on there as well. So if they wanted to find you, Garrett, to get in touch with you, throw your socials out there so that we can find you on social media.
Yes, I have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find me as Christian Garrett on each of those. Um, I want to say Twitter is at RealCG. Um, I want to say Instagram is the same thing at RealCG. Facebook, just search Christian Garrett. Add me on that particular profile. Um, and trying to think. You can also look up matches on YouTube. Just type in Christian Garrett versus, and it should uh, bring up several of the matches that I've been in around the southern and eastern United States. So
Okay.
that's where you can find those things. Yeah.
Cool. And so um, I had a question and it just left me. That's the gray kicking in. So let's see. If what would you have to say if you could say one thing? Oh, I know what the question is. I'll ask after this, and we'll wrap up.
Okay.
If you could say one thing to anybody on the CWF roster concerning future events, you just have one statement to send, whether it's the Slingshot, Prophecy, Van Christopher, Reggie Gates, anybody. What would that statement be?
Um, let's put this in the context. So you said something about the new breakout title earlier. I
Hmm?
would really like it to come down to one day me and Reggie Gates, because we were the initial two first. We was the first two people in the breakout division. So I
Hmm?
would really like for that to end up the first breakout title match being me, or a breakout title match in the future being me and Reggie Gates. Um, that match will deliver and will be a staple in that particular title's um, existence within
Okay,
the promotion.
cool. And so, last question: do you intend to enter the Spring Scramble promo tournament?
Yes, I do. I
Well, there
will
you
be
have it.
entering, and yep, I will be entering, and hopefully, uh, since Slingshot wanted to out me earlier, maybe it'll come down to me and Slingshot, so I can show Slingshot exactly who Ironclad Christian Garrett is.
And I think that right there is going to be the statement of the night. Christian Garrett will enter the Spring Scramble promo tournament and will have his sights set possibly on Slingshot Shaddix and as well as Reggie Gates. So you definitely have some gold in your eyes and in your sights. So that's definitely good. Christian, again, thank you so much for joining us, man. It's a pleasure having you here on the show. It's a pleasure having you backstage at our events in our ring. And you are welcome there in the ring and here on Mic'd Up at any time, man. I appreciate it so much. Stay safe and stay healthy, and hopefully we'll see you down the road here soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, man. Take care.
You too, man.
Well, that's going to do it for us, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks again so much for joining us here on Mic'd Up. I am your host, Marshal Briggs, and I'll be back here again next week. And, of course, as usual, we will announce who our guests will be probably Monday or Tuesday of next week, and we'll be back right then. Again, don't forget to go ahead and do this up one more time. Take a look at this. We are looking for now 15 people to enter the CWF Spring Scramble promo tournament that will culminate in the winner of that tournament getting a shot at the CWF title at some point in the future. Make sure you stay tuned to that, and we will definitely have more for you here in the future as far as the Spring Scramble, Resurrection 2, and our events going forward. Stay tuned to our social medias. On Twitter, we are CWF. On Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Stay there, subscribe. You'll find all the information you need for the CWF right there. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and we will see you next time. Stay safe, stay home, stay healthy. Take care.